Hello, we are about to start. We have a few people joining in, so we're gonna wait another, a minute or so, and we're gonna officially start this. So welcome to the people who are joining in right now. Okay. So grab your cup of coffee, the water, the tea.
Nuts. Water.
Perfect. So let's start and let people join in as they come in. So good afternoon or good evening or good morning, depending when you're going to be able to see this webinar. People who are joining in or, through the recording session eventually. My name is Jesus Hoyos from CX2 Advisory. Joining in currently from South Florida. I'm going to do the presentation very soon. But the topic today, for these conversations, it's more than a conversation than a webinar, is to, discuss how to accelerate, your decision-making process with all your marketing, advertising and budgets and organization operations by making sure that, your marketing organization is more agile. And the way we do this, traditionally, and the way it should be done is to, goals, objectives, and metrics. And you need a tool, in order to understand how to do that. And today we have the challenge that we have way too many, marketing technologies. We have, way too many, social media and different channels to go and market the customer, that we need to figure out the best way how to bring all that data together to we can measure this. Okay. And today we're going to start discussing that exactly. So again, my name is Jesus Hoyos, principal consulting from CX2 Advisory. I help, companies and vendors, understand, the Latin market and customer engagement. And within that, it has everything that has to do with marketing. Today we have Ajay and Max. I'm going to let them do their own introduction. Ajay?
Sure. My name is Ajay. I'm the founder of Growth Nirvana, which is a no-code marketing analytics platform. Prior to that, I was an executive at Masterclass and Emeritus.
Max?
Great. Max Raffel. Nice to meet everybody. I'm an investor, in particular in the education technology industry, as well as in marketing solutions industry, call it ad tech or martech. And prior to doing this, I spent time at Procter & Gamble, Nestle, and a large education provider called Laureate Education, and as well at Emeritus.
Perfect. So one of the key things, when we're looking at, marketing analytics is timing. Make sure that you have, a good timing to get the data. You don't want to see that in PowerPoint. You want to see the data in real time. And you want to be able to measure all the data that's coming in quickly. And today in the industry, there's hundreds and hundreds of applications in the market. But still a lot of companies, still struggle to bring all that data together. And, there's 8 common, themes, problem issues that people encounter. And that's the main focus of the discussion today. I'm going to be the moderator. I'm going to ask a question to Ajay and Max. And hopefully, 8 of them, hopefully we have 3-5 minutes between each of them. And then at the very end, we're going to send you via email a checklist so you can sit down based on this conversation, sit down with others in your organization and bring that conversation internally. And eventually, you can request a meeting to do a one-to-one demo, a one-to-one conversation, about, what all this means and how, hopefully, Growth Nirvana can help you. Okay. So let's start with the first one. Okay. Max and Ajay, marketing operations, revenue operations, sales operations. Sometimes they are, they are working together. So sometimes they are not working together. You have a lot of, dependencies with IT and the many marketing agencies. How a tool can help you evaluate, your marketing organization to understand those metrics and improve the way you're organizing your marketing structure, your marketing team.
Sure, I can go. I can go first. So, we're saying if you're a marketing organization, you're basically measured by revenue and efficiency, right? Revenue and customer acquisition costs, the bottom line. And what I've always found is, as Jesus mentioned, there's so many campaigns you're running, so many different tools you're using, initiatives, people on so many things. And what we need to bring to the surface is of each of these campaigns, initiatives, what's working and what's not. How well is it working? How well is it not working, right? It comes back to the data. I'm doing a bunch of Facebook campaigns. What's the CAC there? I'm doing a bunch of content, organic content. What's going on there, right? So step one is just the data. And then step two is understanding that level deeper. Then what am I doing going forward, right? What is the data telling me that informs my strategy of, okay, now I'm going to scale this or kill this, right? What's working, what's not.
Max, you've been on the other side as well, as a CEO and chief marketing officer, managing multiple campaigns with a complex marketing team. How that works.
Yeah, I think the first thing is in evaluating an organization is just where are you in terms of maturity, and being honest with yourself in terms of that actual maturity. I think one of the things that's happened over the last, let's call it 10 years, is everyone has access to the major digital media channels, right? And all those media channels have all the same tools, really, right? And there's just some people that do things better than others, right? And mainly they're better than others because, one, they accept where they're at in terms of an organization, and they just they pick their must-win battles in a smart way. And then after picking those must-win battles, you say what tools, processes, people do I need to continue to improve on this? Because that's really where digital metrics come into play. There's so many. You have to know which ones are going to move the needle, because as Ajay said, this is really all about revenue, right? And then the second part is, how am I going to make my marketing budget more efficient? So I need to put it in the right places. And prior to all these digital channels being made available, we would say in marketing that
we lost you, Max.
I'm sorry. I accidentally hit mute. What I was saying is that in prior lives before digital, we said half. We know that half of our budget is being wasted. We just don't know which half. And it's incredible that that's still occurring even in digital media. And so when I'm evaluating companies, that's one of the things that I look at is do a deep dive on their digital acquisition and just get an understanding of just how responsible they are with their spending, and just how well they know their customer. So that's what I would say.
So and this is a good segue, because how do you balance that budget? How do you know, once you identify that you're wasting money on that particular spend? How do you know where you can turn a profit, and where you're wasting that money?
Yeah, this one's a powerful one because, I think over the last maybe 3 months, I've talked to, I don't know, so many companies, right? Hundreds of different companies, so many different companies on the platform, Growth Nirvana. And the pattern I've found is marketing teams know how much total spend they're spending, right? You can go look at the bill, right? You know how much is going out, and you kind of know as an organization how much revenue is coming in, right? You see the dollars coming in. But then the question is, well, but what exactly is happening? Because you're not doing one thing, you're doing 50 things, 100 things. And so what exactly is working and not? And I mean, I'm sometimes shocked at how many marketing agencies, right? They're showing to you, we have a customer acquisition cost of $1,000. and that's in this much revenue. But when you drill down to the next level, there's 50 campaigns running, 10 are doing really great, 20 or so 10 are just awful. And then it's like, oh wow, if we kill those 10, eliminate those 10, and then can we go to the 10 doing really well and scale it? Can we then hit another level of revenue and growth and scale? And so one is, do you have the data set up that you can look at that more granular level and see that? The other one I've seen that's pretty common across high consideration purchases or B2B, right, is marketing driving leads, or are they driving revenue, right? So the way your systems can be set up, maybe, okay, I spent so much money, I got so many leads, and now it's sales job to figure out the rest. But we have the data to see, wait, I'm not just driving leads, I'm driving leads, MQLs, opportunities, revenue. And when you start looking at the campaigns from that basis, wow, this campaign is driving so much revenue. This campaign is driving no revenue. It's driving leads, but no revenue. Then these outliers can really drive big time impact. And
So
imagine
that,
then you can go, then you can show your board or the CEO, look, I want to make these changes and I'm going to scale the company, big time.
so that means, Max, the conversion is not just the clicks. On Facebook, the conversion are actually, when people are, putting stuff in the shopping cart and buying, or you're closing an opportunity. That's when you want to go back and identify that revenue with marketing, no?
Absolutely. And I would layer what Ajay has said with data hygiene, right? So you have to be sure that you're gathering the right data. And then the second thing is the granularity behind it, right? It's very easy to be very much on the surface and not peeling back the onion enough, right? And again, marketing should not be activity based, right? And so, focusing on the right audiences, right, will get you someplace. But then experimenting, adequately is also critical, so you can scale those hidden gems as well, right? Because there's always it's amazing, but little itty bitty changes on these platforms could make a big difference. But you always have to have that curiosity, and it's not just one thing. It's multivariate.
So once we identify those hidden gems, the things that are helping us, drive the revenue from the marketing point of view, that's where you can probably identify if your marketing analytic process is broken, because you're looking at the granular, hey, how many ads were really active? How many ads are not have the right audience? How many ads, turning profits, and ads, or, content, search engine optimization, whatever it is to drive your marketing. Why sometimes it's difficult to identify that your marketing analytic process is broken, because especially when we're doing, we're exporting to Excel, we bring that into a PowerPoint, we have connectivity to the Facebook, but then we tweak the data, how we can identify that.
Yeah, this is a big problem. If there's so many manual steps, right? Like, ideally we want real-time reports, fully automated, don't break. Max was mentioning you do these experiments, and the faster you can do experiments, you can learn things, find hidden gems. A lot of companies I talk to, they can't even do that, because they're like, if I go and say, hey, I'm running these tests, there's no way to even look at the results. So there's kind of like things inherently stopping you. Like the marketing org wants to do these exciting things, but they're stuck. Or, maybe TikTok is this new channel. Oh, I want to do some tests. Oh, we have no way to show that data. Oh, it's going to take us, a couple months to, produce dashboards. My embarrassing story would be, I'm in a board meeting, and then all the questions start coming. Oh, okay, what's the campaigns doing by city? What regions? And then I have to say, okay, I'll get back to you in 1 week. I'll get back to you in 2 weeks. And then, my boss is saying, 2 weeks? Why not 1 day? Why not 1 hour? What's taking you so long? And, that's the perfect example of, I just had a broken analytics process. I couldn't get the results as fast as I needed. Yeah.
So Max,
I would
go ahead.
I would compliment what Ajay just said. The first question I always ask is related to, so get get me in front of your marketing analytics now. And so if a leader has to ask somebody, you know that you already know that there's an issue.
The
And,
process is broken.
my big
Yeah.
the process is broken because it's siloed somewhere. The information isn't readily or easily available, and then if you're getting the reports a lot of times in PowerPoints, you say, well, I would rather just review these. I mean, I would have my dashboards ready that measure the strategic value, the operational value, the tactical value of each of my funnel, let's put it right. So but the first question, and what should worry anybody, is if you don't have easy access to the information and you can't answer the most basic of marketing acquisition questions, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and it's funny because I have a good story to tell. Uh, many years ago, doing a complete customer engagement implementation. I got a call at 7 o'clock in the morning from somebody called Max. Hey, why the data in Hotspot is not the same from Google Analytics? And which is it should be the same. And that's part. And this is only two systems. Then add Facebook, and add the CRM, and add the other application, and then when the data is not matching and you don't have the right data quality in there, your process is going to be broken. And that takes you to the next topic. Why why we cannot get the answers right now. Why do we have to wait for the power presentation? Why do we have to wait for somebody to manipulate the data, put it in Excel and a pivot table to present it? You're losing enormous time. And now when we have an audience, we have customers that have omni-channel and they're everywhere, and there's clicks everywhere that they're producing data, you're losing out. Why we still have that mentality that it's going to take weeks. Are we compliant right now because of that?
It's interesting how marketing has changed so much, right? So like 20 years ago when I started my career, how did we do marketing? We went to events, right? And then we get these pieces of paper with people's email addresses, and you call them, and that was primarily it, right? And now it is a demand gen function, right? Where I talked to a company yesterday, right? They have like 7 business units. One is using HubSpot, one is using Salesforce, one is using spreadsheets. Then they're on every single channel, Facebook, Google, multiple ad agencies. So there's just so many things happening, and it's so easy to do all these things, right? So as a marketing team, we can get ROI by trying lots of things. But the data volume is massive, right? And so now, is there a way to solve it? Well, there is, right? You can have great engineers, a modern tech stack, right? So the tech stack of 5 years ago is now outdated. I think that's something else that's pretty fascinating, right? Then you need data analysts, data scientists, or do you have just report makers? People who download files, put it together, put it in a PowerPoint, and give it to you. You ask some questions, they're like, wait a second. And that's when things slow down and break. And imagine every week, every month, it's just getting more complicated, more campaigns, more data. So it's almost like if you're on a shaky foundation, it's just getting shakier and shakier right underneath you. It's just an amazing time that we live in.
And that's why you cannot get the data traditionally in minutes. It just takes forever to get it because you don't have that foundation. And that foundation has to do a lot with the skill sets. I mean, you mentioned data science. Then we have AI, but the core, understanding the core data, I think sometimes we're missing that. What do you think about that, Max? You're still on mute.
There we go. I think that if you don't know if you're generating sales, you're in trouble, right? And that's and all too often, marketing leaders are not sure what their return on advertising spend is for campaign A, B, or C, and that just means that you're siloed, right? So your KPIs are not aligned to what the business needs, and so Sales may not be happy with you. You may be going down a bunch of foxholes or rabbit holes, right? Because the questions that get asked of you aren't the right questions. And I go back to what what you were saying earlier, Jesus or Ajay, about leads, right? Is it just all about leads? And it's not just about leads, right? So that would be my point of view on that.
Yeah, that takes us to the next topic. Sometimes we need an army of people to do things, and we don't have the time. And we don't have the resources available to do the marketing analytics, or we outsource them, or we let the many agencies, because you mentioned that multiple ad agencies, but sometimes you have multiple ad agencies, multiple content agencies, depending on the brand, depending on the product, and somebody needs to own the process, and I think part of this, and I agree what you're saying, report makers, but how we can, because right now, there's no way that you're going to go and hire a bunch of people to do this, so how what will be the benefit, of making sure that you have the right structure to use the current staff that you have, to maximize your marketing analytics.
Yeah, I think this is a trap I've seen a lot of companies fall into, right? So the trap is, okay, I hire a data analyst or a data analyst team, and all they're doing is actually putting together, because the data quality is not there, the data automation is not there. So all they're doing is getting Excel files and putting it together. But that becomes a full-time job. So all they're doing is manual work. And then what happens is complexity grows, then they slow down. Instead of taking 4 days, they take 1 week, 2 weeks. So you keep on growing that team. And then suddenly you look back and say, oh, I have this team of just report makers. And ideally, the automation and the software is generating the reports. And you don't have report makers, you have actual data analysts, right? So what is a data analyst? Somebody who looks at reports, coming up with interesting opportunities, and is presenting to marketing leadership. Oh, I see this opportunity, right? What I typically see at organizations is the data analysts aren't doing data analysts, they're doing report making. And then it's the marketing leader that's trying to find the insight, right? The person with the most valuable time, the busiest person, they're the ones trying to find it. And it's almost like, how do we up level each bucket, right? Replace the report makers with technology, hire actual data analysts and data scientists. And then as a marketing leader, you're getting insights and opportunities to drive impact.
So you want to very much automate the report making process, so
exactly.
then you can have your data analysts, identify those opportunities.
Yeah, or thinking of interesting questions, right? Like, oh, our business, we do really well in, I don't know, let's make it up, this state, right? Why is that? Oh, okay, is our ad creative good? Like really, kind of deep diving versus sometimes the superficial stuff, right? Which is, okay, just trying to get a report out there that shows, CAC by a channel. Like, are they really deep diving, inside?
Yeah, Max, I've been in meetings with you
and importantly, they're an analyst that understands the business, right? Because you can be a great statistician and mathematician, but if you don't understand the business, then you don't get the insights.
Yeah, Max,
what were you saying, Jesus?
Yeah, I've been in meetings with you that you ask, to the team, hey, what was the performance of that particular Facebook asset as it relates to the opportunity and the stage to be able to close the deal faster, and and I think sometimes we get to a maturity point that we understand the data versus Aya was saying, let's stop looking at the superficial things, let's look at the details, so you can understand the data. You're doing more analysis and less report making.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is before you start building out the team, I would do an audit of your data, right? And just understand the sources, the efficacy of the sources, and that you're capturing everything that you should be capturing. Whether it's a data model that you need to put in place, or it's just simply some data hygiene, you should audit all that information prior to, because you can imagine if the information's not right, all the decisions that are incorrect.
Yeah. So what does it mean to do an audit?
Well, I
When
mean,
from I mean, are you looking at the data that from the lookalikes or the audiences that you have, the data that you bring to the marketing automation tool on the CRM or the e-commerce? Because sometimes
exactly.
because sometimes people say, "Oh, let's look at the audit," and they look at the data that they have in the CRM system, but it's the whole life of the data that is coming from Facebook the way down to you close. That's why I ask you the question, because people need to look for that. Not just the data that you have in the CRM system
They
of the marketing clicks and all that kind of stuff.
100% agree. And I mean, just from tagging your website correctly to setting up your analytics account, right? I mean, there's so many best practices that already exist. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. But the fact of the matter is that most most uh, most sites aren't even measured correctly, and that means that your landing page is not going to be optimized. And if you want to jump to conversion rate optimization, but everything that comes before that is incorrect, you're going to have troubles.
Yeah, and I like be sure that you bring the Google ID, that you bring the UTM values, that you have a governance of campaigns, so you maintain that quality, because you do the audit, you're going to learn, and then you can move forward to make sure that you keep that data properly. And we're going to talk a little about data quality in a couple of next topics, but today, you probably know out there, people, I don't know, thousands and thousands of applications to do marketing analytics, and sometimes we have all these BI analytics tools that are client server, that you have to work with IT. Then you have all these tools that are ready to go, and they do really well one channel, but they don't do all the other channels. Okay. And then you have your Facebook, your marketing automation tools, your e-commerce tools, you have your CRM, then you have the order management process, all that have data that you want to be able to identify. And the challenge that we have today, that takes time, based on what everything that we're discussing. And we have no code. Okay. And I would like Aya to explain what that means, what no code means,
Yeah.
in order to use an application that provides no code, that anybody that is not a data scientist, that is not, somebody from the CMO to the report makers and in between, they should be able to use a tool that provides no code. What that really means.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give one example that might be fun is, think about 10 years ago. To build a website, you have to hire engineers, designers, cost you so much money. And now you can go to some website, click some buttons, and you just get a website up and running, right? So that's an example of no code, just to build a simple landing page. But before, 10 years ago, it was so hard to build a landing page, just to put a web page on the internet, have a checkout cart. And so now the question is, well, why doesn't marketing analytics have the same thing? All the data is in different places. And the problem makes sense, right? Jesus, you gave the example. The typical way to solve analytics is, I'm going to hire a bunch of data people. I'm going to, say Tableau, Looker, but that's just a UI. You still got to do the data warehouse, the data pipelines. And then suddenly you're talking 6 months, 9-month project. But then these long projects, as we all know, costly, higher risk, go behind schedule. Oh, there's a new priority. And then you never get what you want. And if I'm a CMO and I'm on the hook of, okay, next quarter I got to improve my metrics, and I depend on analytics, and that project slips by this other team, right? Whether it's IT or engineering, whoever, that is incredibly frustrating. So the power of no code is, now it's under your control, right? You can deploy the product, see your analytics and move forward. And it basically de-risks, right, what you need to do. The other thing I've noticed with a lot of no-code products, and Growth Nirvana are trying to do the same thing, is we're not building products for the IT organization, right? We're building products for the end user, the marketer. So I don't know how many products I've used in my career where IT buys a product and then marketing's like, hey, that's great, you bought it, but we're not going to use it because it doesn't make any sense. It's unusable, all of that.
Well, you bring a good point, because a lot of those traditional BI tools, right now in the market, many companies are buying those products, and those products are still client server.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And number two, they're legacy because they are not built to connect to the internet. They are not built to connect to the Facebook and keep track of the Facebook changes, the algorithms, all that cool stuff. So
100%.
that agility, takes, you need to have that agility as a marketing organization, Max, I know you've been through that experience, and maybe you want to elaborate a little bit about that.
I think what really comes to mind is the number of times that the report's not available, right? And so operationally, you're not as flexible, you're not as agile, and those reports aren't available. And somebody tells you, oh, it's the API or the service is down. But what, who's going to fix that? And where's the ticket? And so, and then you say you're going to fix this internally, or you got to open up a ticket with a third party provider. Say, what do you want to be great at? In terms of like a marketing organization or even a big company, what do you want to be great at? And it's probably not API connectors, right? But there are companies that can do that for you, right? That stay on top of these changes that can occur, and they occur one day, they advise you, and then the next day, your report's broken and you don't have information, right? And you're down for a few days, sometimes weeks. You just never know. And then some of these APIs are not stable, and so then there's just some days yes, some days no. There's a 24-hour lag time. That's not fast enough for me, so on and so forth. So you have to really figure out what you want to, as an organization, as a marketing organization, what you want to be great at, right? And where do you want your dependencies, right? And so companies can't be great at everything. That different functions can't be great at anything. And so this is where I think a solution like this comes into play, the no-code solutions, right?
Yeah, I want to elaborate a little bit more about on this topic, because when you connect to the different data sources, in the cloud, and you own data sources in your own company to bring all those marketing analytics, you have to connect to the APIs. You need to extract the data. You have to clean the data. You have to accommodate the data. You have to make relationships, between all the different systems, to be sure that there's a taxonomy, and that, you have multiple agencies, that they have the same governance for the ads, and then if you're doing PR, also that you bring all that data, you're doing search. So it brings complexity. So I would like to see, AJ, if you can, talk about, what does it mean, to have, a no-code solution for the marketer, where they don't have to worry a lot about those things, and you can bring this quickly, and start analyzing your marketing campaigns.
No, exactly right. So the whole premise now is, as a marketer, you just say, okay, I'm doing ads on Google and Facebook. My data's in Salesforce. My data's in, your CRM might be HubSpot. Maybe it's Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And then suddenly, then the reports are made. And as Max was saying even before, you don't have to worry about, okay, the API broke today, there's some issue, right? The product is handling that. And now you just have your reports, and you can, you didn't have to wait 6 months for, will my project get prioritized? Will it slip? Blah, blah, blah. You have it and you're ready to go. And that's an incredible shift, right? In terms of time to market, ability to be agile, things like that.
Perfect. So let's go to the next topic, and again, going at those, those lines, it takes forever, and you focusing in the basics, but sometimes we forget that we got to do advance. And that's, I've been in that situation many times, in meetings, and how about this, how about that you mentioned this, well, let me go back to you, in a few weeks, or I need to cross that with the other Excel file, or I need to ask that data to the other agency. I need to ask, I don't know, Bill knows everything, so I'm gonna have it, and then Bill quits the company tomorrow. So you lose all that content, all that context, all that value, understanding the data. How important it is now that, having a basic report of ROI is not good enough. You need to have, the basic report of ROI with all the AI, all the, the different filters and scenarios to super validate that you're having an effective, campaign.
Yeah, and this is from my personal experience, where, working at Masterclass and Emeritus, these super high growth companies, and we're trying to move fast, trying to grow, trying to cut CAC, and the advanced reporting made the difference, right? Because if we were just looking at the basics, like, okay, Facebook has this ROI, I mean, then you can't really find these hidden gems in scale. But imagine you have a Google report and you can really drill down fast and say, wait, what's our impression share on these keywords? Are we losing impression share because of budget? Is it quality score? Like, are these the types of conversations you're having? Oh, it was quality score because they're searching for pricing and that landing page doesn't have price, right? I've very rarely been in conversations that go to that level of detail. But what's interesting is that level of change, which sounds quote unquote advanced, right? That can get you to a whole new level, right? Because we're basically in this competition, right, with our competitors. If you can get better than them, you can just scale, right? Because these digital platforms allow us to scale like crazy. And just to give one other data point, like when there's friction, like, oh, I'll get you the report, it takes you 2 weeks, then the organization just gets stuck in basic reporting mode and you're just stuck there and you'll never, and then it gets harder and harder. And then even the basic reports are hard and it feels like looking at the basic reports are a win, when what we really need to do is get their basic reports over with and then really be nailing these advanced reporting.
And sometimes people confuse, advanced with exporting something and do a pivot table in Excel. So that's very key. Max, what do you think about that one?
No, it's super key. I mean, we can be generic, or you can. I mean, I think of it more like generic versus advanced, and like just how, what level of detail can you get down to? So, this buyer persona, right? Is this buyer persona, converting, as opposed to this lead, right? Just how far can you drill down, and then start to hypothesize, right? I think that's the other, when you have advanced analytics, you can really start to hypothesize and think more about growth in a different way.
Yeah, and for me, in order for to do this, I mean, you need to have this core foundation in your ecosystem. Meaning that you need to have, ad tech, martech, CRM, the back office, all integrated, focusing on that persona. And if you have that foundation, you're going to be able, to really expand and explode, everything that you're doing in advanced reporting, advanced analytics, because you're going to have data from everywhere. You follow the cycle of the life of that data, that Google ID that is traveling through all the systems, that will help you match, the Facebook unique identifier or Twitter, whatever that is, tied with your own campaigns. I mean, I think it's very powerful, and that's extremely important to people understand that you need to follow that. So sometimes people look at and we're talking here, marketing should drive revenue. But the moment that you start thinking about the marketing funnel versus the sales pipeline versus the logistic process to deliver the product and the service, and you treat that separate, you're still going to have silos. And that's something that people need to understand as well as they start putting this together. And this brings us to the next topic, data quality. What that means, what data quality means from the marketing, digital marketing point of view.
And it's funny, we kind of all have a gut feel of what this means, right? It means I'm looking at some PowerPoint that I was given, and I was like, wait, this looks off. Wait a minute, this number doesn't match with this number. Oh no, I'm in trouble. And how do you improve data quality? So, right, first principles, you could go list all the places the marketing data comes from, right? It's okay, there's a Facebook ad. Is that ad correct? Is the link correct? Is the UTM correct? Is it flowing through? But then fundamentally, there needs to be a software product that actually monitors the data quality, right? Because you have all these agencies. Any agency can just enter the wrong UTM, right? Engineering can make a bug fix on the website, and then suddenly there goes attribution, right? You got your links, your UTMs, your pixels. All these things need to be correct, because if one thing is off, kind of the whole building collapses, right?
Max, from your point of view?
Yeah, I think I mean I 100% agree with Ajay, and I guess the only other thing that I would add to the mix is, you know, the source of truth, right? And that there shouldn't be too many things that go in between the source of truth and your report. So as soon as you start to see too many things in, you know, in an Excel, for example, you know, one mistake on a pivot table, and you know, you just have a data dump disaster, right? So, you know, be clear on the sources of truth, and that those are the ones that are going to guide you, and try to not have too many intermediaries, but between that and the decision making and C-suite reporting.
Yeah, for me, the challenge that I see a lot, for the data quality is not having a common data model, that you can protect. And what I mean by that, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, they all have different ways of how to set up the structure for ads and to measure those ads. Okay, and then when you set up a campaign and you see your system or your marketing cloud or your marketing automation or social media, uh, you know, sometimes you don't have like a good campaign structure. Even sometimes, I mean, you look at many of the social media tools, they don't have a campaign structure, you know. So you need to figure out a way that you set up, a data model to keep track of those campaigns, And there's a bunch of methodologies, from agile, marketing, from the traditional, and there's a bunch of frameworks out there in the market, but you need to select one and you need to protect it. Okay, and you need to use marketing analytics to make sure that you're protecting the data model. Okay, and the same thing goes with the persona data model. Are you targeting B2B, B2C, direct to consumer? Are you using one marketing automation tool for everything, or you have different marketing automation tools? One marketing automation tools is owned by you, another one is owned by the agency. The one CR system is owned by the call center. So when you start looking at all these, different systems, you need to be sure that you protect the data, and that drives that data quality. And going back to what Max mentioned about doing an audit, I think you need to do a profile for your data, okay, to make sure that when you implement your marketing analytics, you understand that data. You need to have that taxonomy very clear. You need to have data catalogs, very simple. If I ask a question, and this happens to me a lot, I ask a question, what is a campaign? People they have like 5 different definitions for a campaign. What is a landing page? What is content marketing? What is digital marketing? And people forget, or they have, different assumptions, and that at the very end, it doesn't help. So I think, being agile and understanding that data model that you have, and be able with marketing analytic tools, be able to protect that data, I think it's important, because that's going to be to your advantage from that point of view. So how a low code, how a low code tool will help you protect the data quality?
Yeah. So the big thing is, part of it is no code, which means that it's easy to get going. But the other one is it should monitor all these systems, right? So it should, you say in Growth Nirvana's case, right, we have a report that shows you all your UTMs and when they're broken. We show you when the attribution is broken. So it's more about, can there be a product that basically monitors your data quality? This is kind of a very new concept, right? Like, I don't think marketing data quality is like a product people typically think of, right? Because, but as we're going the first principles, you got to get your data quality right, so then you can have your basic reports, then you can get advanced, right? So,
very key. So we're at the very end here. So I would like to, do a summary, of what we've seen. There's, we have new technologies. Growth Nirvana being one of those. No code. Be able to do marketing analytics quickly, very agile. And the most important thing here is that it doesn't matter, what tool you're looking for. You need to be able that you understand these, 8 topics that we discussed today. How you can improve them. So probably the takeaway will be, to be able to have this conversation internally, with your own company, and figure out, what are the tools out there that are going to help you do that. and Nirvana can help you with that. So, and before we go and I let Aya and Max, give the last remarks, we're going to send you an email with the checklist of actually 10 points, besides the 8 that we discussed, where you can ask the questions internally. You can sit down with a cup of coffee, and discuss this, and then have that conversation internally. And then if all of a sudden you realize, yeah, we need to truly, get better with marketing analytics, there is a link that you can click, and, you can reach out to Agile, and you're going to be able to do a one-to-one, see a demo of the application. But most important, understand your business, understand where your pain points, to see, how, application like Growth Nirvana, which is low code, no code, can help you improve your marketing operations, and eventually, of course, your marketing analytics. That's the goal. So saying that, Max, Ajay, any last remarks?
I guess yeah. So maybe I'll just say, the checklist gives kind of that broad view of like some of the challenges, and I would just say, if marketing analytics is a problem, right? Historically, it's so overwhelming because like to solve it is now IT and hiring people, and now there's a path that can be actually really fast, right? No code, get depending on your maturity, right? You can get bang for your buck really fast. So just encourage people to think of that new shift where you can drive business impact and show great results to the organization really fast now with these no code tools.
Max?
And I would just say, don't assume that it's all perfect, right? Be humble, right? Do an audit. Get somebody to do a third party audit, and just kind of get to know where you're actually at, and then put a plan in place. I mean, and make sure that plan is aligned to objectives and top line, bottom line, right? And just know that it's the organization is going to go slower than the tech, right? But I think tools like Growth Nirvana can really step change a marketing organization in a significant way, and also again reduce those dependencies on either internal or external resources that may not be your best bets. Right?
Yeah, I guess so. So, and the biggest takeaway here, be humble, doing audit, learn from that, make a plan, and be sure that somehow you're moving, in a way that is agile, and learn through the process. So, between today and tomorrow, you're going to get an email from us. You're going to get as well the presentation. You also are going to get, the recording of this conversation. And thank you everybody for joining in. See you next time. Thank you, Ajay and Max. Okay. Hold on. I think we have. It says, Javier is mentioning here, very insightful guys. Interesting to see that the pains in managing digital marketing are quite common. We definitely do the checklist. Exactly. That's the whole idea. Start the conversation. That's the whole idea. Start a conversation. That's the whole idea. Okay. And probably will be more than a cup of coffee. A few of them, Okay. Thank you very much and see you next time.